Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, there's not just one, there's not just two. My word, there's 101 Jacobs.
I can't make my voice echo that much.
You're also not spotted, so.
Thankfully. Wow, that'd be bad. Did you spell it wrong?
Oh, you can't multiply him. That makes sense.
Okay, good. That'd be
Good
terrible.
to know there is limits to your technology there.
Yes, agreed.
More than you want to admit to. I get that. I understand that
my
completely.
All right, why, thank you, Lemeters, our co-host, a man who, boy, can he go through a bowl of kibble. Welcome, Drew.
I don't eat kibble. I am not a shaggy. I'm a cat person.
Like, Swordsman, you'd be like, yeah, you're definitely not a shaggy.
I like lasagna and hate Mondays. And guess what today is?
Yeah, it's definitely a Monday.
It is a Monday. So yeah, tonight we are reviewing 101 Dalmatians, the original animated film. And yeah, we did just mention that we are recording this on Monday because, bless his heart, Jacob was one sick puppy last Friday.
I was very much.
So we didn't get to record then. I'm glad we're getting it in now because we do have a guest coming up next week. Yeah. And it is his birthday today, but we'll get to all that later. But why don't we go ahead and jump into our spoiler-free thoughts on this film?
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
So here's the thing. I know I watched this film as a kid, but I have very little nostalgic memory for it. Like, I remember the Cruella de Vil song, but I remember the song. I don't remember the animations that go along with it. So I'm thinking most of my memory of this movie had to be from one of those Disney sing-along song VHSs.
Oh, okay.
Because I know I had one or two of those, and I would not be surprised if if that song was on one of them. I know I watched the film. It's just it's at that certain point where you weren't storing memories. So while I remember the screen full of Dalmatians at the beginning, I didn't remember a lot else of this, surprisingly enough. But this is a good film. It's not extremely action-packed because this is at a point when Disney was trying to save some money. So this is a little bit more calmer. So be prepared for that. I guess I'm thinking I'm comparing this to stuff like Lion King, where you have an antelope stampede in the middle of it. We don't have anything like this. We just have an angry woman driving a car at one point.
Well, I mean, like, I would slightly disagree with you because the third act is very much action-oriented.
It is. It's just... Let me rephrase. Most of this film is very laid back, I'll say.
Okay.
Like a lot of the film. There's still stuff. Because, the Dalmatians get stolen. A couple other things here or there. But... and you are dealing with a woman who's wanting to make a fur coat out of Dalmatian, out of puppy pelts.
Yes.
Which...
She's one sick puppy.
She is one sick puppy. But, yeah. I'm just saying, in comparison to later Disney films, and maybe some earlier Disney films, a good portion of this does seem a little more laid back. What I'm saying is this is more in line with the Aristocats than it does with something like, say, Fantasia.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from. I may disagree with you.
It's like the difference between The Rescuers and The Rescuers Down Under.
Okay.
That's probably a closer idea as to what I'm thinking.
Okay.
But anyway, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts, I grew up with this film. I remember when my mother bought the clamshell, and we had that for years. I mean, it wasn't one of the staples that just went on rerun all the time. But I remember, like, very clearly remember watching this film a few times when I was a child. And I've had at one point maybe like 3 versions of this due to Disney Movie Club when that was the thing.
Right.
But I do have very fond memories of the movie. It is a fantastic, wonderful film that Disney used some new technology to streamline the process, because you go from straight hand inking to the Xerox process, which is good and bad.
And that is probably something that actually allowed this film to happen.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It's also it was cheaper for other reasons too.
Yes, it was cheaper for other reasons, and there's other little issues with the Xerox process. But as being an artist, I totally get it, because you got to clean all your stuff up, and sometimes you don't, and you see it very clearly in the film. But I thoroughly enjoy this film. I love the villains. The villain.
There's villains.
Yeah, I agree. There's villains.
Let's be honest. A villain and 2 minions.
Villain and minions. And we're not talking about yellow minions.
Yeah, we're not talking about the talking corn pops.
Talking corn pops. That's good. But overall, I enjoy this movie tremendously. There's just so many moments throughout this entire film. I do slightly disagree with you that this film is kind of a laid back film until the third act. This movie does have a lot of it's the first act isn't really action oriented. The second act does have a lot more kinetic energy in it because you get a lot of running. And the third act is where you get all the action and everything, all the suspense and everything. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. I enjoyed this as a child. I enjoy it as an adult. So yeah, I enjoy it. Go watch it. Go buy it.
On that note, why don't we go ahead and jump into our spoiler-filled thoughts, and we'll get into this.
Yes.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film 101 Dalmatians. 101 Dalmatians was directed by Clyde Geronimi, who also directed Alice in Wonderland, and Hamilton Lusk, who also directed Pinocchio, and Wolfgang Reitherman, who also directed The Jungle Book. So yeah, we've got like all 3 eras of classic Disney in this film, because it's like right there in the middle. It was written by Bill Peet and is based on the book by Dodie Smith. Getting into the cast, we've got Rod Taylor playing Pongo, and in the movie Inglourious, J. Pat O'Malley played the Colonel, Jasper, and the mechanic. And in Alice in Wonderland, he played the Walrus and the Carpenter.
Now, wouldn't Alice in Wonderland?
It was
Alice in Wonderland came out in the 50s, right?
Yeah, because it was before this, because it's not using Xerox.
That's what I thought.
It is very fully cell. Betty Lou Gerson played Cruella de Vil and Mrs. Birdwell. And she was the narrator in Cinderella.
Oh.
Martha Wentworth played Nanny, Queenie, and Lucy. And she was Madame Mim in The Sword and the Stone.
Gotcha.
Ben Wright played Roger and Man, and he was Grimsby in The Little Mermaid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was his last performance.
I believe so.
As Grimsby.
Kate Bauer played Perdita, and her only other credited role, or only other credit on IMDb, I should say, is Mrs. Hidwick in something called The Third Man. It's the only other thing she did.
Really?
David Frankham played Sergeant Tibbs, and in Star Trek, the original series, he played a character named Larry Marvick. Frederick Warlock played Horace and Inspector Graves, and in the movie Spartacus, he played Lelius. Lisa Davis played Anita Dearly, And in a movie called The Queen of Outer Space, she played Motia.
Motia.
I didn't recognize anything on her list.
Okay.
But then I saw Queen from Outer Space. I thought, okay, that's just goofy enough to bring up. And lastly, we've got the Tudor Owen, who played Towser and Percival Fontswater. And in the Sword and the Stone, he played Knights in Crowd. Kingdom Hearts connections. How many do you think we got?
I would say 2.
No.
Okay.
1.
1. Okay.
And it was a stretch. I will just tell you that. What I got was George Bruns. He was the composer for this film.
Oh.
And he was also the writer of the song Yo Ho, A Pirate's Life for Me.
Oh.
Which is featured in Kingdom Hearts
That's
2
a
and 3.
Stretch.
It is a stretch. It is very much a stretch. So
it's like how many Disney connections can you get to?
I mean, his work did appear in Kingdom Hearts as
Fair.
background music when you're not fighting. Oh no, in cutscenes. That one's in cutscenes.
Ah.
But anyway, yeah, that's all I got. Well, we got an info and stuff.
All right, info and stuff. It IMDb has a 5.8. Rotten Tomatoes has a 38. Is a 38. Like, this is weird, right? We're talking a classic film, and it's got weary low numbers. That's weird.
I was saying, are we sure we're talking about the animated film or like one of the ones with Glenn Close in it?
I don't know. Maybe. All right, so
you're not going to let this go, are you?
Available to watch on Disney Plus. It was produced by I can't talk right now. Blah. Walt Disney Productions. It was distributed by Buena Vista Distribution. Thank you. Sometimes I get tongue tied. I can't say a word.
That's one of the harder ones for you.
Agreed. Runtime was 79 minutes.
I was about to say it was longer than 49 minutes.
Yeah, it's 79 minutes. 79 minutes. Its release date was November 18th, 1996. Wait a minute.
I called this.
You did.
And you just kept it going.
Hey, I couldn't help it, okay?
How about
Thanks, PaulJPowers.com.
How about you give us the real one?
Yes, all right. Going into the real IMDb, the real info and stuff. IMDb, for real, is 7.6. Rotten Tomatoes is a 98, where its audience score was 76, which is kind of weird. The audience, I'll be like, the critics loved it. And then the audience was like, okay, it's good, but it's not great.
Well,
but 76 is like good. Be like, it's not rotten.
Admittedly, this is falling off of the golden era of Disney. So
in some ways, yeah.
I mean, Sleeping Beauty, that was before this, actually was a box office failure.
Bomb, yeah.
So, yeah, people may have been thinking that Disney was losing it.
Yeah.
Losing its magic.
That's true. All right, so as I said before, you'll be able to watch on Disney Plus. I actually watched it on the Blu-ray I have. Mm-hmm. What format did you watch?
I went with Disney Plus for ease of use.
Okay. Because I'll be like, I do have a massive movie collection, so...
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Just letting our audience know. I'd be like, I have a huge... Be like, I've seen movie collections. Be like, mine is big, but it's not enormous.
I have seen bigger, I will admit.
Yes. All right, so production was obviously Walt Disney Productions. Distribution was Buena Vista Distribution. Did I say that right? Distribution?
Distribution, yeah.
Distribution. I always be like, that word just kind of twist a little bit in my tongue. But its runtime, again, was 79 minutes. It was released this time on January 25th, 1961. All right, going into box office. It had a estimated budget of $4 million. Its opening weekend was $2.3 million on December 22nd, this is a re-release. This is a re-release in the 80s. Mm-hmm. On December 22nd, 1985. Because obviously I don't know if I can get those numbers or not. But if you have that information Anybody who is listening streaming right now or listening on the chat or in the future, please let me know if you have that information. I would love it. Thank you.
I think some of that stuff didn't used to be reported, and that's why we don't have that information anymore.
Sometimes it was, like most of the time it was reported in like the newspapers, but nuance. Its domestic gross was $144.8 million for the United States and Canada, our northern neighbors, and its international gross was $215.8 million. So this movie made cheddar. Mm-hmm. This movie lit up the theaters. Everybody enjoyed it.
You could say it made puppy chow.
Oh, it made so much puppy chow be like they were rolling in puppy chow. Mm-hmm. They were rolling in the fur coats.
That's disturbing.
All right, so home release. 101 Dalmatians was first released on VHS on April 10th, 1992 as a part of the Walt Disney Collection video series. 1.1 mil. That is odd. 11.1. If it was 1.1 or 100 or 10.1, that'd been amazing. But no, it was 11. Copies would have been sold by June of that year. At the time of its release, it was the 6th best-selling VHS of all time. The film was re-released on VHS and Laserdisc this time on March 9th, 1999 as a part of the Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection for a limited time. The DVD edition was originally scheduled to be released in the spring of that year, but was delayed until November 11th. It was released as a part of the Walt Disney Limited issue for its limited 60 day. This was limited for 60 days, a time period before it would go back into
the Disney Vault.
Yes. I'm looking. Be like, when you look at a word, be like, I'm severely dyslexic. Mm-hmm. Severely dyslexic. So I look at a word, I know what this word means, but I can't say it.
Well, I can't read it at that angle with the that's highlighted. Moratorium.
Moratorium. A time period in which something is then it goes back into a vault or what have you. But it's moratorium. Thank you. He's like, how do you say this word? But went into moratorium. In 2009, 101 Dalmatians underwent a digital restoration, and it was restored as a 2-disc Platinum Edition DVD on March 4th, 2008. And it returned to the Disney Vault again on June 30th, 2010. 101 Dalmatians was released for the first time on Blu-ray in the United Kingdom on September 3rd, 2012, and in here in North America, it was released on a Diamond Edition and Digital HD on February 10th, 2015. The set was re-released again as a limited Blu-ray DVD combo pack for the Disney Movie Club on November 6, 2018, and on September 24th, 2019, 100 Dalmatians were released on HD digital download and on Blu-ray as a part of the Walt Disney Signature Collection. Mm-hmm. Now, I can't remember what... that is the Diamond
That's
Edition.
the Diamond Edition.
Yeah, the Diamond Edition I have. Because I've had multiple editions. I sold them off because you don't need 5 copies of the same film. Unless you're just like a diehard, I have to have this film. All of the versions.
You hear that, Ashley? He's learning.
Never mind him.
I'm actually more on your side. I just thought it was funny that's what...
Says the guy, how many copies of Star Trek do you have?
Shush!
I rest my case.
You task me. You task me, and I shall have you. Moving on.
And I'll blow you out of the water. Come on.
I'll chase you around the moons of Nibia and around the Antares maelstrom and around perdition's flames before I give you up.
God! Well,
Anyway. Oh, I should have said I'd circle you around Pluto.
oh, man, that was a good one. The Remainer.
I know we're doing real good when I can get the when your forehead gets so red, you can see the reflections of the light bouncing off against it.
You're not helping.
I love how you think I was trying to help.
Oh my gosh, you are so woken, people. All right, so that is all I have for info stuff.
All right, getting into the summary. In 1957, aspiring songwriter Roger Radcliffe lives in a bachelor flat near Regent's Park in London with his pet Dalmatian, Pongo. I feel like that should be worded the other way. In 1957, Dalmatian Pongo lives with his pet Roger Radcliffe, who in a bachelor flat near Regent's Park. He is a singer-songwriter. That sounds closer to how this movie words that. Deciding both of them need a mate, Pongo watches women and their dogs in the street. Noticing a young woman named Anita and her Dalmatian Perdita, he drags Roger to the park to arrange a meeting. Roger and Anita fall in love and soon marry, with Pongo and Perdita attending. The Radcliffes hire a nanny and move into a small townhouse near Regent's Park. After Perdita becomes pregnant with a litter of 15 puppies, Anita's fur-obsessed former schoolmate, Cruella de Vil, arrives and demands to know when the puppies will arrive. Roger responds by writing a jazzy song mocking her. A frightened Perdita confesses to Pongo that she now regrets the idea of having puppies due to Cruella wanting them. When the puppies are born, Cruella returns demanding to buy them. Roger firmly denies her offer, and Cruella, refusing to take no for an answer, swears revenge before storming out of the house. Several weeks later, Cruella makes good on her threat and secretly hires Jasper and Horace Baden, two burglar brothers, to steal the puppies. When Scotland Yard is unable to find the puppies or prove Cruella was involved, Pongo and Perdita use the Twilight Bark, a canine gossip line, to solicit help from the other dogs in London and eventually all of England. On the farm of a retired cavalry officer, the Colonel, a military-like Old English sheepdog, along with his feline compatriot, Sergeant Tibbs, investigating the nearby Old DeVille place, where puppies had been heard barking 2 nights earlier. Tibbs finds the puppies in the old mansion and learns that Cruella intends to make them into dog-skin fur coats. After the Colonel sends word back to London, Pongo and Perdita leave through the back window and begin a cross-country journey, crossing an icy river and tunneling and running through the snow towards Suffolk. Meanwhile, Tibbs overhears Cruella ordering the Baddens to kill the puppies that night out of fear the police will soon find them. In response, Tibbs helps the puppies escape into a hole in the wall, but the Baddens notice and give chase. Pongo and Perdita break into the house and confront the Baddens just as they are about to kill the puppies, while the adult dogs fight the 2 men. The Colonel and Tibbs guide the puppies from the house. Following a happy reunion with their own puppies, Pongo and Perdita discover there are 84 more puppies with them. Shocked at Cruella's plans, they decide to adopt all the puppies, certain that Roger and Anita would never reject them. The Dalmatians start their homeward trek, pursued by the Baddens. They take shelter from a blizzard in a dairy farm and a friendly collie and 4 cows. They make their way to Dinsford, where they meet a black Labrador waiting for them in a blacksmith shop. Cruella and the Baddens arrive, prompting Pongo to have his entire family roll in city fireplace to disguise themselves as other Labradors. The Labradors help them board a moving van bound for London, but melting snow falls on Lucky and clears the soot off of him, blowing the dog's cover. Enraged, Cruella pursues the van in her car and tries to ram it off the road, but the Baddens, attempting to do the same with their lorry, end up colliding with her, resulting in Cruella and the Baddens getting stranded in a ditch with their vehicles destroyed as the van drives off. In London, a depressed nanny and the Radcliffes try to enjoy Christmas and the wealth they have acquired from the song about Cruella, which has become a big radio hit. The soot-covered Dalmatians suddenly flood the house. Upon removing the soot and counting the massive family of dogs, Roger chooses to use his songwriting royalties to buy a big house in the country so they can keep all 101 Dalmatians. Thankfully, they were never accused of running a puppy mill.
You're not kidding.
I may have added that last line.
Yes.
Getting into the trivia for this, the birth of the puppies actually happened to the author of the book, Dodie Smith. Her Dalmatians had 15 puppies. One was born lifeless, and her husband revived it. However, they sold most of them and kept only a small number. Clarence Nash, best known then as the voice of Donald Duck, did the dog barks for this film. Xerox was a crucial help in the animation of hundreds of spotted dogs. Disney was able to bring the movie in for about half the cost thanks to this process. When Walt Disney read Dodie Smith's story in 1956, he immediately snapped up the film rights. Smith had always secretly hoped that Disney would do just that. The filmmakers deliberately cast dogs with deeper voices than their human owners so they had more power. At about 35 minutes during the Twilight bark scene, characters from Lady and the Tramp are shown in brief cameos. Jock is shown first coming out of a doghouse and then barking into a drain pipe to a dog in an upper apartment. The strays Peg and her friend the Bulldog are seen in a pet shop with various puppies, and both Lady and Tramp are shown very briefly with several dogs at the end of the scene when the barking reaches across the entire city. Due to the commercial failure of Sleeping Beauty in 1959, production costs needed to be cut. As a result, this was the first Disney feature film to use the photocopying technology xerography, which made an animated film with this much visual complexity possible. It also set the visual style of Disney animation, a scratchy, hard outline look, 4 years until the technology advanced enough with the production of The Rescuers to allow for a softer look. Mary Wicks, who did live reference for Cruella de Vil, would later go on to voice Laverne the Gargoyle 35 years later in The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
That's right, yeah.
Chuck Jones once commented that only Walt Disney could make an animated film about 101 Dalmatians. He said, if I had tried to make one dog named Spot for Leon Schlesinger, the main producer behind the Looney Tunes cartoons, he would not let me do it. Spots cost money.
Agreed.
Possibly on purpose, Suffolk, where the Dalmatian puppies are kept, is 101 miles away from London.
101 miles?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me track that actually.
According to IMDb, I haven't checked it yet. I have not double checked that.
Give me a second.
I'm going to finish my trivia while you're doing that.
Go for it.
When Roger revives Lucky, his hand is moving at the pace of the background clock. And lastly, one of the few Disney animated features to have only 3 songs. All other films contain over 4 or more.
Okay.
Any luck?
No. So I'll be like, I want you to do me a favor, Drew.
Let's check Google Maps. I assume that's what you wanted me to do.
You can check that too. I want you to do 2 things after that.
Okay.
It's more visual for the audience can see it. And I want to.
It should do real good for our audio listeners.
Yes. Well, one of them be like if you're listening to it, it should be the cover art for it. So I want to show the audience because I've already done the art for it. So the cover art for it, I want to show the audience in the live actually. And then another image of Cruella de Vil from the
London,
movie.
Texas. I typed in London, Texas. That was funny. Okay, so I'm assuming there's a little bit. Depending on the road you go, but Google Maps is saying 99 miles.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming you could probably mess with this just enough. Maybe.
So looking
I'm
at
sure you can get it there.
Yeah, so if you're looking at the map, Bill, I don't know if you could bring this up on.
I can try.
Yeah.
Share screen. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so that. Be like
Just give you an idea on that.
Yeah, just give you an idea of the length.
Maybe if you go this way, that's 111 miles.
It's close.
I'm playing with it, see if I can actually get it to do 101 miles.
Well, of course, be like if you took anything, you can make it do what you want.
I would say it's close enough that I wouldn't fight anybody over this.
It was 99 miles, so it's close to 100. So you just round it.
Okay, and you wanted me to bring up your your artwork.
Yeah, the cover art for this episode.
Oh wait, you would have sent that to me on Discord.
Yes, I would have, and a picture of Cruella DeVille from this movie, not Glenn Close. Glenn Close.
Oh come on! And I just
the design isn't there. The design isn't there with Glenn Close. Be like, it's shocking. Be like, it's a good design.
I
but
have another idea to bring up to mess with you, but I don't think you'd appreciate it.
Oh no!
Why is Discord not on my Chrome tab?
I have no idea.
Oh wait, I know why. That's actually a feature. That is actually a feature. Hang on. Open link.
There he is.
All right.
So I wanted to bring this up because I did this earlier this week, and so I got the pencils and the inks done before I got sick, or I had the crud I had. So like you're looking at the raw image itself until he goes in and deletes the background and puts our background on it.
Right.
So this was I loved doing this one because I used so much cross hatching and black layers and everything. I love doing this one. This was so much fun, and just to show the audience that be like, this is what the art looks like. So I'm thinking maybe we can do this as a sticker, or be like I can do it as a sticker. I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed it because the level of detail in it. I love the detail in this one. It's so fun.
So is this the Cruella you wanted?
No, wrong Cruella. No. Not
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that was,
not DeVille. Come on.
That was too funny for me not to do. Sorry.
Of course.
Actually, I can do it. Hang on. Cancel. I can back up because it's going to do that, which will make it go away, and then I can do it again. But
yeah, but just be like, whenever you get the image, just bring it up when I ask you to bring it up.
Okay, you're going to play that game.
I'm going to play that game. So be like, yeah, the art is done. Be like, if you guys really enjoyed that, be like, please let me know.
And if you want to know what Jacob's talking about and you're in the audio version, please check out our live streams. We may do this from time to time.
Exactly.
Sorry, I don't put out a video version of this podcast because that's too much work for me to edit. But anyway.
Or just be like, this goes on YouTube, right?
It does, but it's unedited, so...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's harder to get to.
That is true.
But anyway.
But hey, be like, hey, if we get a big enough Patreon, that means be like, Drew could spend more time on editing.
Because that's what my problem is. I need to make money to do it. Has nothing to do with time.
I'm saying maybe if we get a big enough Patreon,
we get somebody else to edit the video.
Exactly. Maybe we if we make enough money, we can probably
throw it out to Fiverr.
Fiverr?
Yeah, that website you should go to pay people to do stuff for you.
Or we got a friend named Al Lampert who could probably edit it for us.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But either way.
Yeah.
We should be reviewing the actual episode.
I know.
Now that you've tangented.
And?
Tangented? Is that a word?
That is not a word. Tangented?
It is now. I verbed it.
You verbed it into existence.
Yes. So, yeah. What's your first like for this film?
Just like our last movie, which was Everything Got Out of Room, The Incredibles. This movie is a classic. Like, in every aspect. All spots and all. This is a fantastic classic film that the Walt Disney Company, even though Walt Disney wasn't exactly like hands-on like he was before, because he had his hands in everything. Mm-hmm. They were doing live action, they were doing television. Disneyland was a thing at that point.
Disney World was being built.
Disney World was the early concepts at this point, or was being built at this point.
I think Magic Kingdom was being built right now.
Yeah, I think so, because sadly Walt passed away before the park opened, or a couple of years before it being open. But
I'm looking it up. Keep talking.
No, you're good. But it's like Walt. He had his hands in the script.
71 was when it opened.
Yeah. Yeah, because Walt passed away in 63, I think.
Something like that. They were buying Florida at the time.
Yeah, they were buying Florida because they didn't be it was very early stages. But where I'm getting at, be like Walt Disney himself was involved with it, but he was primarily involved with the writing and like how the story was going, but he was never involved with the animation because he was so busy. But like the story, characters, design, and like the entire encompassing of this film is a classic. It is a gem when it comes to animation. Like you have the fact to be like they took the bold step of putting so many dogs on one screen. Mind you, this is the 60s.
Okay, they started buying land in 1959. Mm-hmm. Or that's when they began looking for land. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And he flew over the site in 1963. So yeah, they hadn't actually started building yet.
Yes.
Sorry, continue.
No, you're good. But overall, this film is just a gem of a movie. Like the use they rotoscoped the cars like they used CGI before it was CGI.
I wouldn't call it CGI.
It wasn't CGI. It was
It
rotoscoping.
looks like CGI.
So,
but you know it can't be because of the time period. It has to be rotoscoped, but good night, is it too smooth?
Oh, yeah, you're not kidding. I'll get to that in my
hand-drawn.
My hand-drawn. I'll get to that in my likes later. But overall, this movie is a classic in every sense of the word. So, yeah, my first like, it is a classic. It is a gem. So, what is your first like? I'm going to sneeze.
Feel better.
Maybe. Oh my
right.
gosh.
My first like for this film is Pongo.
Oh, okay. Of course.
Now, here's the thing. I think I've liked Pongo for a very long time. But in my mind, Pongo, before watching the film and looking up the cast list, I could have sworn was played by Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, I can definitely see that.
Because you can kind of see Dick Van Dyke in his facial structure.
How he walks.
It's fully unintended.
Yeah. He's a Dick Van Dyke dog.
But that's what he looks like.
Yeah.
And I think
Except
that's
more British.
I think that, well, I mean, the Dick Van Dyke wasn't exactly very British when he played a chimney sweep in Mary Poppins.
Yes.
But that's all beside the point. As a father dog, for lack of a better term, I appreciate his character in the whole thing. He's as a character, he has done very well. I mean, he doesn't, even though he's the narrator, I know in the course of the film, he doesn't have a ton of speaking lines, but I love how he takes charge throughout the film, and in getting the news out to the Twilight Bark and going out after the puppies to go save them, and even saying, okay, we came for 15 and now we have 99. We're going to take them all home because they don't deserve to freeze. Surely we'll find something to do with them when we get home, at the very least.
Yes.
He's like, I don't know. Pongo is just like the perfect hero of this tale. He's just a good guy, or good puppy. He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
He's not quite Bond, but he's a good boy. But
he's Pongo is that like definition of a good father, a good role model, a good man.
Mm-hmm. A good dog.
Like, a good dog.
A good boy.
He does everything humanly or dog possible to get his puppies back.
And the whole thing of him going out and going out to going after 15 puppies, finding that there's now with the rest of them 99.
Yeah, and don't forget Purdy.
Well, I'm mostly talking about him.
Yeah.
You've got Perdita. Don't get me wrong, but the fact that he goes, okay, I only came for 15. I have a reason to love 15. I'm going to love the rest of them too, because it's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
I just, and he almost does it without hesitation. There's some surprise, because there's going to be surprise.
Of course.
When you go from, I have 15 children to I have 99 children. There's going to be a surprise.
Yes.
But it's almost like, okay, right thing to do here is get all these kids out of here. Get them all home, and we'll figure out what's going on from them there, whether we needed to keep them or they have to get them to good homes. If nothing else, getting them back to London is the right thing to do.
Agreed.
And he does it without hesitation. I appreciate that so much from this character. That's not something to use other Disney male dogs as examples. Tramp would never do this. I don't think.
Well,
don't get me wrong. He loves Lady. Don't get me wrong. But to take on, I don't know if he would take on the additional puppies. I could be wrong.
Right.
I could very easily be wrong. And it's been a long time since I've seen Lady and the Tramp. But Pongo was asked to take on far more responsibility than any other character, I think, in the Disney canon.
Okay.
And I think he does. I appreciate that he goes at it without hesitation. There's not Roger is more overwhelmed by the puppies than Pongo is.
Right.
And Pongo treats every single one of them like they were from that first litter.
Yeah. Oh, agreed.
So yeah, my first like for this film is Pongo.
Okay. I like that, actually. That's a good point. Be like what is the definition of a good father?
Yeah. Be
like a man who's going to stand up for his family, who's going to do whatever possible for his family. Be like either that he's human or he's a dog, or how do you describe that as a representation through a dog, and he's willing to embrace like something he wasn't expecting. Be like, oh, there's 15. I'm still going to love them anyway. Yeah. Oh, there's 99 of them. Okay. Be like, I might be a little overwhelmed, but I'm going to do my job on what I'm supposed to be doing. But yeah, that's very good. Bravo. Very, very good. So my second is design. Now, please bring up Cruella. Please.
Working on it. Was not expecting you to ask for a PowerPoint presentation this evening. Not sure if I can get that any bigger. There you
That'll
go.
work. All right. So mine is design. And obviously, be like, if you're watching the stream, you can see the example. But if you are not, you are listening to the audio version of it, you can go to Google and find a picture of Cruella de Vil from this movie. And I think the design of the characters, especially Cruella herself, you have this because Mark Davis, who was the designer who animated and designed Cruella de Vil, did this masterful work of having this very elegant, but you know how evil and dastardly the character is. You look at this big overflowing coat of her, because she is a very dainty woman. She's very small. And, this is the artist coming out of me. So it'd be like, you look at the contrast of her hair, you look at, she wears red shoes, she has red gloves. She has this very thin line, like slender dress with this, the red coat and everything. Be like, it has perfect designing. Be like, you look at through the course of the entire movie, be like, even the goons themselves they're perfectly designed. Like, this movie has great design. Be like, if it comes to backgrounds. Now, there are some issues with the backgrounds, and we can kind of lay that at the feet of the Xerox system, Xerox problem. It's a great system they would like to use when you're on a budget.
Yeah,
I get that.
And it did help with the creation of, animating all of these spots.
Oh, yeah, agreed. But it does have issues. So I'll get them my dislikes later. But this is the overall design of like Cruella de Vil, which Mark Davis did. Again, Mark Davis, if you don't know who Mark Davis is, go look the man up. And like, I have his book. I still need to read it because I got it as a Christmas present one year. And oh my gosh, this man was a freaking genius when it came to art and design and everything. Because he is one of the original OG 9 old men that were under Elias Walt Disney. But overall, be like the design work in which this man did with Cruella de Vil, making her this very iconic villain with the way she looks, the way she walks, and just like, oh my gosh, I'd be like, I could gush over Mark Davis' design work. But and I mean, I could probably sit here and just analyze everything about it. That's why I asked Drew to bring the image up during the stream. But this like design work is so incredible. Be like, I wish I was that kind of designer. Mm-hmm. Be like, I'm not a fashion designer, any fashion. I don't think Mark Davis was, but this was like, I'm not gonna say, but like before, when it came before this, be like, they didn't do great design work. They did amazing, because Mark Davis was a part of that.
Yeah.
But you see this and things like Sleeping Beauty and others, like he did design. His wife did the backgrounds for Sleeping Beauty. Be like, if you ever like, whoa, those are amazing backgrounds, that's his wife. So for those who want to be like, oh, women didn't work there, be like, look it up. Thank you very much.
So
anyways,
I remembered there was a bit of trivia that I left out that I meant to put in there.
Yeah.
So we see the puppies watching like different cartoons throughout the film on television.
Canine Crunchies, which what is it? That's another piece, because somebody else sang that was in Sleeping Beauty did the voiceover for that commercial. But the only thing I really wanted to get at was the fact that when the puppies are in Hell House and watching the DeVille lair, DeVille.
Yeah, that was the name of the house. Was Hell. Yeah, Hell Hall. Sorry,
Hell Hall.
It was Hell Hall.
Yeah, Hell Hall.
Yeah, we're just laying that on there real thin.
Yeah,
about
Cruella de Vil.
Sure, she's not the devil.
No,
not at all. Not at all.
No,
but when they're when the puppies are watching TV in there, while the Jasper and Horace are napping, the cartoon that they're watching on TV was actually a Old Silly Symphony.
Really?
Yeah, it was Springtime, which was originally released on October 24th, 1929, the very same day the stock market crashed.
All I had to do to see the date is October 24th. I was like, oh my gosh.
Which is kind of funny to me.
That is so freaking ironic.
But, this is still pre sound cartoons.
Yeah.
So that someone actually had to play this music while the cartoon was playing.
Yeah.
So I want to throw that out there because it's an early Oob Iwerks cartoon for that is literally shown in there, and it did stand out to me when I was watching the film because it felt like it was playing at a different frame rate to the rest, not a different frame rate, but it was not changing frames at the same time.
Oh my
the rest of the movie was.
Yes.
I couldn't find how many, if this was animated on ones or twos. It looks like it's ones, but there are some points in time where it's like you could obviously tell they were trying to save some money. But that's all beside the point.
Fair.
No, my second like for this film is actually Cruella de Vil.
Okay.
I really think that first off, of all of the Disney villains, she's the weird one. She's the odd one out.
Okay.
Because, she wants to make a coat from puppy fur. That's pretty dastardly.
Yeah.
That's pretty evil.
Have you ever pet a Dalmatian? They're not that furry.
I know. But compare that. But when you think about it, it's like you have the evil queen who wants to kill Snow White because she's too beautiful. You have the evil stepmother who's wanting to imprison Cinderella in her house so the evil stepsisters can marry the prince. Maleficent cursing Aurora to sleep forever by pricking her finger, all because she was slighted at her birth, all because Maleficent was slighted at Aurora's birth celebration. Cruella wants a coat. It's kind of weird, and it doesn't get any better when you start including others like Scar, Hades, Jafar, Mother Gothel.
Thank you.
I mean, she's right up there in terms of when you describe what they're who they are. She's right up there with the goober from Frozen, the prince. I can't think of his name.
Hans.
And you know what's interesting about both of these characters, despite them being fairly normal people who are just a little deranged?
Right.
They're both the most hated villains in Disney. And I think for what, yes, skinning a puppy is pretty bad.
Right.
Skinning 99 puppies is tantamount to murder. Oh, it's tantamount to murder. It's tantamount to like a class
genocide.
Not quite genocide, because there are still Dalmatians in the world.
Agreed.
But it's
full-on slaughter.
That is a slaughter. That will get Scotland Yard called on you. Once they figure out what you've done. Otherwise, how did you get all these furs? Oh, they were sourced organically.
Organically.
Yeah. She's
dastardly.
She is dastardly. They did such a good job of making you hate her from the very second she's on screen. And I don't just mean with the Cruella de Vil song. That's helpful. It does say it's like, oh yeah, she's horrible. She's a work. But the fact that the minute Cruella shows up, it's like, oh no, she's just bad news for everybody. I mean, Jafar could kick her butt. Aladdin would have no trouble fighting Cruella de Vil.
Right.
But Pongo and Perdita, yeah, that's an actual threat to them and their puppies.
Yeah.
And they do such a good job of taking this character who's just like an evil socialite who wants to do something admittedly despicable and just making her like so evil. Her name is Cruella de Vil. Cruel devil. The only way you get more obvious that this character is evil is Snidely Whiplash. I mean,
it's right on the nose of it, like how
it's right on the nose. Like, you know she's evil, and it's never a wink at the camera. It's like, no, this woman's evil, and you know she's evil. And the minute she shows on screen, you have no compassion for her.
Right.
Which is why the Cruella movie is so interesting to me, because while it really doesn't make her, what's the word I'm looking for? Likable, or not empathetic towards, but
you understand where she's coming from. In a way,
but at the same time, she's still very despicable for who she is.
Right.
It's just, there were technically people who were worse off than her, that they just didn't try to murder a whole horde of puppies.
Right.
And if you assume that the Cruella movie is in canon with this in any way, shape, or form, she somehow made sure that Anita got... she made sure Pongo and Perdita got to Anita and Roger.
Oh, okay. Spoilers for a film that maybe you haven't seen. I haven't seen yet.
That's right. You weren't there when we watched that back at that singles retreat.
Yeah, no, I wasn't there.
You weren't there yet. You were on the road.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Anyway,
those were fun times.
But yeah, they did such a good job of making Cruella de Vil evil that it's kind of fun that you don't feel anything for her. You're just happy to see her be the bumbling villainess that her minions keep causing her issues. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm going to jump on yours for a moment. Your use of Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Vil would be kind of like a street level villain. Be like, she obviously, like, she's an aristocrat. She is she's very wealthy. She has prestige and influence and what have you. Be like, I think in the more modern interpretation, she's like a high-end designer or something like that.
She was very much into fashion, which does fit with why she was wanting the fur coat.
Exactly.
I think in this one, she was not technically a designer. She was just a wealthy socialite woman who probably would have gotten somebody else to make the fur coat out of the pelts.
Probably. But I do like the idea that like she is from the get-go, from beat number one, the first time you ever hear of her, be like, obviously she's the villain. Mm-hmm. She's the villain. She's the one. You are the antagonist of the film. There's no doubt. There's no like a delusion. It's not a Prince Hans that shows up and sweeps on off her feet.
Right, to where you don't even realize Hans is a villain until like right before he reveals it.
Yeah. That was a good surprise in theaters. To be like now it's just like, oh,
it's like painfully obvious when you watch
painfully obviously now. Be like, you never be like, obviously be like,
but Cruella's just evil from the word go. Yeah, and I don't know, it's nice to have an evil for evil's sake villain.
Yeah, and I want to point this out: the fact that Cruella herself be like does not take the word no for anything. Be like, she wants something, she's gonna get it, if that's by legal means or illegal means. Meaning having someone break into someone's house and steal it for her. Meaning 15 puppies.
Cruella de Vil, the original Karen.
I agree in a way. I wouldn't go as far that like she was, Karen like, but be like, this woman was so self-absorbed that be like, if someone's told her no, she was going to get what she wanted no matter what. And the fact to be like, she had collected, we don't know how she, be like, did she buy all these puppies? Did she steal all these puppies?
When Sergeant Tibbs is first getting in there and he's trying to figure out, are these the puppies that we heard about through the Twilight Bark? The first one he talks to is one of the other puppies. It says, no, we weren't stolen. We were bought.
Yeah, we were bought. So
it's not those up there that actually have the collars that keep watching the television. Those we don't know anything about. Yeah. They may be who you're looking for.
Yeah. But be like, yeah, she has a lot of puppies to make coats out of. Like, one, be like, have you ever petted a Dalmatian? Be like, it's a very thin coat. Be like, get, like, I don't know, a St. Bernard or something. That'll make a big, nice, fluffy coat. Be like, it's the spots. Like, woman, you are so...
The spots are probably the reason she wants that. If we're being honest. I can see
get a Great Pyrenees. I'm not saying do it. I'm not saying skin a Great Pyrenees. I'm not saying that. I've known a few Great Pyrenees. No. But it'd be like, if you're in this fictional universe, go get a few Great Pyrenees, do this horrible thing to them. Don't do it. Just saying, don't do it because they're dogs.
I get what you're saying that this may not. I get what you're saying that
nice fluffy, and then diet with spots.
Of all the dogs that she could decide to make a fur coat out of, you'd believe the Dalmatian would be the worst one because it would not hold up. I would like to point out that it's aesthetic only because this is the kind of people who buy leopard skin stuff too because of the spots.
That is true, but I think in my mind it's like, okay, just
I get it. It's not going to hold up to any weather.
Exactly.
But then that's why you stuff it full of stuff that does hold up in weather if you need it.
Yeah, agree. But still gross. But Dalmatians, really? Because they're spotted? Or like her disgust when she first sees the puppy when they're first born. They weren't spotted? It's like, oh my gosh, what kind of beasts are these?
I would like to point out how little she actually cares about the whole thing.
Oh yeah, I agree. She's
more
so
than likely,
self-centered. Yeah.
She would wear this coat to one party.
Oh yeah.
And never wear it again.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because that's the kind of person she is.
Of course.
She wants to make a statement in the London social scene. So, yeah. This is why we know she's evil. She's literally doing this for no good reason.
Yeah. Just to show up, be like, oh, look at my fancy coat. But either way,
look at all the money I have.
Yeah, look at all the money I have. Look at all the expense I went into making this coat.
Never thinking for once that that's not going to be a good idea PR wise. But then this is a woman whose last name is spelt DE space VIL and their old place is called Hell Hall. Mm-hmm. Well, What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So, going into our third.
Yes, your third like.
My third like is the third act itself. Be like, you have all this build up to the what do you call it? The signal bark?
The Twilight bark.
Twilight bark. Yeah, the Twilight bark. You have the parents going cross country,
which
99 miles apparently.
Which apparently,
100 miles.
Apparently, after this film was made, that's what Walt Disney changed their newsletter name to, was the Twilight bark.
Yeah, I remember that.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. So you have this, from the Twilight Park, you get to the farm, you get the escape from, Hellville, or the
Hell Hall.
Hell Hall. Sorry, Hell Hall. And like from that point on, it's a chase. The entire time is escape, chase, escape, evade. The entire time with 101 dogs.
Yeah.
And the fact be like, one, they animated this. Now, granted, you can see they recycled animation over and over and over and over and over and over.
But they had to.
They had to. There's only one way you can do that. Like, this is all hand-drawn, people. Hand-drawn. There's no computer generated anywhere.
You can't just draw. When you're doing a crowd scene, you kind of layer things to make it work.
Exactly.
You would do it with humans. You do it with humans. You do it with puppies.
Yeah. Or the one that I always love is like whenever they animate Rolly, the big chubby little dog. You're like, I love it because
Mommy,
be like,
I'm hungry.
Or like when he runs, but like he's such a big little chunky little dog, and it's just funny when like other dogs be like it's all recycled animation, but like it's it's phenomenal how they do it.
The original 15, I think they do go out of their way to animate them differently, but the rest of them it does kind of go on to, okay, this is a crowd of puppies, we just need to show a ton of puppies on screen. I bet if you actually count it, there are more than 101 puppies in many of, or more than 99 puppies in most of these scenes.
So be like in that regard, the last scene we see where they're all in the townhouse, be like there's like 117 120
something like that,
in the final shot. Because obviously you can't lose track of 101 dogs.
It's a lot of dogs to draw.
And it's a lot of spots. But overall,
there's like over 5 million spots in this film.
It's over 5 million. It's nuts. But like you have the escape. You have them trying to get back to London, which is 100 miles.
101 miles.
101 miles. What like
that they travel in 3 days?
Yeah, but they don't take the road necessarily, so it could be over 115 miles. But I'll be like, it's an amazing trek, and when you finally get to that final confrontation where they're in the village and they have this very clever, this very ingenious way of like, oh, just have the dogs roll in the sun. Now they look like Labradors. Be like, have you ever seen a Labrador and you've seen a Dalmatian? They look similar. Except one's white and black, and the other is a black dog.
I'm just still sitting here going, okay, Cruella. I can understand Horace and Jasper not putting two
not exactly
together.
The most brightest bulbs.
But, Cruella, you have just seen a ton of black puppies walk past you and jump in the back of a car.
Yeah.
Now, have you thought about putting two and two together just a little bit faster?
Yeah.
Especially since 3 of these dogs are running like back and forth, making sure they're all getting in there. It's like, I wonder.
Yeah, that might be part of my dislikes later, but you have this amazing chase scene, and then you have the crescendo of this whole thing, because you have Cruella's car, which, mind you, people, this is the 1960s. There was no CGI. And how they described it in one of the documentaries, that this was a CGI scene before there was CGI.
Yeah.
So what they did, they made cardboard cutouts of like 3D models of these cars, and then went in and shot on film and then rotoscoped it. Where rotoscope is literally you just trace it line by line.
Yeah.
You're like frame by frame, and that's what you get. That's how they did this. They did 100% hand-drawn rotoscoping with film and 3D models in hand. And how they did some of these scenes was incredible in the 1960s, and they made it animation. And today,
when I was watching this film, my first thought was, why does that car look like it's computer generated?
It does.
Because when that's the first thing that comes to my mind. I've seen enough of this. It looks like a 90s era Disney Renaissance. We had to make the car in CG to save money because we didn't have time to draw it. It sits right there in my mind, right next to the cart that Pacha is driving back to town. That's got the Cuzco on it.
Yes,
it's obviously CG when you look at it. It fits in there because it's like it's not quite at the same level of. It's almost too good.
Yes,
it's almost too on par to fit in with the rest, which is hilarious when you consider Xerox animation. But it's not organic enough for how this stuff is supposed to look, and yet it's like, wait a minute, this is 1961 when this film came out. Yes, computers were out there, but my watch here, which is not a smartwatch, it is a dumb watch, for lack of a better term. It is a Casio digital watch engineered in the 80s, and it has more processing power in it than the Apollo space capsule had, that was being made at this time, and we were blasting it off into space and getting people to the moon. Obviously after this, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, 1963 when the Apollo 11 hit.
So obviously, if that's what computers were doing, and they were still big machines at this time, there's no way they were plotting out there's no way they're plotting out animation cells like they would do later on in The Great Mouse Detective.
Right.
This is pure. It has to be hand drawn.
It is.
But it had to be rotoscope because that's the only way it works, and it stays on model almost too much because somehow it's my mind.
Yeah, the scene in particular that gets me, because you have the scene where Cruella de Vil, like, she runs off the road, goes into the ditch, then drives up the embankment, and the car is completely dismantled by that.
Yeah.
But so then you get this hot dog dragster out of this beautiful luxury car. And it's just epic how they draw it. And then you'd be like, that's an epic scene, because you go back and watch the behind the scenes stuff. It's incredible. Go watch that. But you have the scene where the Jasper and Horace are trying to, that intersection, they're going to run him over. And then you have Cruella with her madness going on. And you have this collision between these two vehicles. And again, this is hand-modeled cars shot on video and then rotoscoped. So that entire tumble of Cruella's vehicle over Jasper and Horace's vehicle, oh my gosh. Because you can see where the parts that are like animated and the parts that are rotoscoped.
Yeah.
Be like, it's so freaking beautiful. Oh my gosh.
I just had a horrible idea for a mashup somebody needs to do.
Oh no.
I want someone to put most of Cruella's driving scenes in this film, but set it to the theme song to Speed Racer. Remember, one of the lines in the Speed Racer theme song is, he's a demon on wheels.
Yes.
He's a demon, so you know he's going to be chasing after someone. And the first thing that came to my mind with 101 Dalmatians is that shot of Cruella de Vil's face with the crazy eyes and the hair going everywhere. It's like, she's a demon on wheels.
Oh my gosh, that would work. But that entire scene is so good. Oh my gosh. Like, my art nerdy stuff went thump.
Yeah.
Like, when I was a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, how do they do that? Because again, when I watched the 90s, there was computer generated stuff, and it was like, and I think my dad said, it's like, no, that's hand drawn, Jake. That's done in the 60s.
It has to be.
And it's like, how? And then it'd be like
rotoscope. A 1930s technology.
Yeah, 1930s technology. Which be like
created by Max Fleischer.
Yeah. And now some people want us to be like, oh yeah, Disney doesn't do animation, they rotoscope everything. Wrong.
Technically, Disney does very little rotoscoping.
Yeah,
they do a lot of reference shooting.
A lot of reference shooting.
But they are not technically doing rotoscoping.
Yeah. That's a lot of,
I know it's like, it sounds like we're being very particular, but rotoscoping is literally drawing over
it's frame by frame by frame.
It's frame by frame. Literally, what Disney does a lot of times is they will shoot like reference materials and then on video or on film, and then draw what they're seeing.
Mm-hmm. Like a certain film we reviewed with a certain Francisco Ruiz, aka Roy, with Fire and Ice.
3.5. Moving on.
Yeah, moving right along. Dum-da-dum-da-dum.
Dig-a-doom, dig-a-doom.
Yeah, that is rotoscoped.
That's what Ralph Bakshi loves
That's
doing.
what Ralph Bakshi did. Be like, he was rotoscoping everything. You look at, He-Man Master Universe. That's all rotoscoping. For the most part, it is all rotoscoped. Like, what Disney did and what they do now is reference and use a little bit of rotoscoping. Mm-hmm. But either or, they had to use rotoscoping for that scene. And it is done masterfully. Oh my gosh. Again, jaw is on the cartoony floor and get a thunk. It is just mwah, chef's kiss. Amazing animation. Be like, I wish they could do the stuff like that again. Just amazing. Drop down. Oh my gosh, light it up. It's amazing. People should watch it. Like, if for nothing else, be like, take that scene in itself and show people it's like, this is how animation used to be. Mm-hmm. And everyone's gonna be like, was that done with a computer? No. Back in the day, you didn't have computers. Everything was by hand.
Okay, so, you are starting to repeat yourself.
I know I am. But, yes, my third like is the chase scene, and it's just brilliant. So, what is your third like?
My third like for this film, you kind of stole it.
You're welcome.
And it is the chase scene at the end of it. This is the big action scene, but I'm going to try and attack it from a different angle than you did. Because in all honesty, I feel like the action for this scene, maybe this is just how I'm looking at it, but until Pongo and Perdita get to Hell Hall, I really feel like there's not been that much action. There's stuff going on, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot of suspense and investigation and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to bring it specifically to one particular character, and it's the only cat in this entire film. Sergeant Tibbs.
Oh, yeah.
The best cat in Disney. Mm-hmm. I did not say period because that's Gigi.
Yeah,
Gigi is best cat.
I agree.
But in Disney, Sergeant Tibbs, I think, takes the honor of being Disney's best cat because he had granted he's working for the Colonel, but he risks his life to not just figure out where the puppies are, not just get the original 15. It is his decision at the beginning to get all 99 puppies out. He gets all of them out while Horace and Jasper are not even paying attention. It's not until Lucky drags his behind.
Yeah, Lucky.
Because he wants to watch the television more.
Of course.
It's not until that point that they even notice all the other puppies are gone. Sergeant Tibbs did such a good job, such a good stealthy job, that to me, he is the VIP of this of this operation.
Lucky.
Not Lucky, Sergeant Tibbs.
Sergeant
Tibbs is the VIP.
Oh, I agree.
He should be getting a freaking medal. And I especially love when he is operating the horse.
Oh gosh,
that's
number one.
That's such a funny scene.
Agreed.
Where he's like, he's aiming the horse's fire one and then pulls the horse's ear down, and so he kicks with his hind foot and knocks Horace or Jasper straight through the wall. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I love every other character in this that helps. I'm not saying you didn't do a good job. I'm not saying what you did was not necessary. You all deserve every ounce of gratitude from everyone involved that you received. But Sergeant Tibbs is the one who I think deserves the most honors, because if it weren't for him, they would not have gotten those puppies out. And I honestly did not remember this character was in the film. I was assuming that it was just going to be dogs everywhere. I did not know about the cat.
Oh, yeah.
That was going to be this. So I'm going, okay, there's a cat in this film. Awesome. I love cats. Oh, the cat is actually the best character
in
this film.
Yeah, he's VIP, definitely.
He's VIP, MVP, every other kind of
he's
good 3-letter acronym you can come up with.
He's the GOAT cat.
Yeah. The greatest cat of all time, except for Gigi.
Of course.
The greatest Disney cat of all time.
Okay.
Yes, I'm saying he beats Duchess. I'm saying he beats whatever the orange cat's name was. I can't think of it right now.
The orange cat?
In Aristocats.
Oh, okay.
I can't think of the character's name right now. I honestly, I can't think of that many cats in Disney that are good characters, because a lot of times you got Lucifer, and you've got Felicia. They're all villain cats.
They are.
Because admittedly, mice do rule the roost in Disney.
True.
For good reason, I will
agree.
say. So the fact that we have a good cat in Sergeant Tibbs who helps save the dogs, despite the fact he didn't have to. All his role was to keep an eye on him and to help those 15 get out, and he gets all 99 of those puppies out before Pongo and Perdita. Well, he gets 98 of them out before Pongo and Perdita break in and give Horace and Jasper what for. And he would have gotten all 99 of them out if it weren't for Lucky wanting to watch TV.
Yeah.
So,
such a couch potato dog.
Sergeant Tibbs, MVP cat of the year.
Okay. So I
1961.
So I want to bring a little bit of trivia because I read this earlier and it's about Sergeant Tibbs. So apparently in the original book, Sergeant Tibbs wasn't a guy. Apparently he was a female cat called Pussy Willow.
Okay.
And they renamed him Sergeant Tibbs.
Well, admittedly, I think it worked out for the better.
Yeah.
Though a femme cat fatale trying to save puppies is not a bad idea either.
No. I think it would have worked either or, but yeah, Sergeant Tibbs is a good cat.
And if you really stop and think about this, this is a war movie.
It is, if you think about it. It's trying to get
very prison escape type film.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is interesting for a movie about dogs.
Saving Private Ryan, but dogs.
Saving Private Lucky.
Might as well get that amazing death scene at the very end. Spoiler for Saving Private Ryan. But, oh my gosh, that is a good analogy. That's a very good analogy.
Anyway, that brings us to the end of our likes.
Yeah, the Sergeant Tibbs is the GOAT of this movie.
Yes. But and I will say, and that's why I said, I was like, why my third like was for the most part that it occurred to me, it's like, no. That whole third act does not happen without Sergeant Tibbs.
Oh, agreed.
So that is why I'm just going to sing that cat's praises.
Okay.
For this film. Moving on.
Did you actually do the Evangelion?
Yes. Because I was thinking, but I went to Cruel Angel's Thesis.
Oh no!
Stay tuned to the end where I probably are gonna do the whole thing.
Oh no!
Or even better, I've got a better idea now.
No!
Let's continue. Dislikes. What is your first dislike for this
Let
film?
me breathe first. Oh my gosh! So my first dislike. Now, granted, it is not a pure dislike of this film, the Xerox process. Be like it's streamlined. It be like it made it more cost efficient. When you're animating that many spots, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
The problem is, even one of the animators themselves, like one of the art directors, was like they told the animators and the in-betweeners and the cleanup guys, it's like make sure you get all the lines, because at that point, Be like, these animators, are spending hours and weeks and months on this stuff. And then you have guys who are just scribbling away and be like erasing all their work. And be like, I think one of the 9 old men was like heartbroken. Is, oh my gosh, I spent months on that. You're erasing it. Mm-hmm. Because they had to get all the lines off. So again, I am not criticizing because it was a brilliant idea in order to streamline the process. It made it cheaper. But at the same time, they're human beings. There are errors made, and you can see the errors all over the place because you can see the frameworks within the characters. Be like, you see it one or two frames where it's literally you see Pongo be like, he turns and you see all the structure.
Yeah,
from where it wasn't purely erased. Because Xerox picks up everything. Mm-hmm. Because be like, you can grind a piece of paper down to like just bare white. Be like, if there's just a fleck of a graphite on there, it'll pick it up. So be like, you see throughout the entire film, there's just little bits of this extra line work, which they could, because nowadays if they did, they would digitally remove it. But I think with this film, be like, because that was the new process they did, and it was a new process, and they streamlined it later. Yeah, but I think it kind of gives the film a little more of its time, and kind of you don't touch that. You keep it original. But the part that got me, so I think of the moment where we have Nanny and she's watching the dogs, and Jasper and Horace show up and break into the house, and Jasper leads Nanny up to the attic. It's where what is Pongo's pet name?
Roger.
Like, go up to his study, because you see his study originally, and it's all colorful and everything like that. In that scene, it's all gray.
Yeah,
everything is gray.
Oh, he doesn't have the lights on.
Right, but at the same time, be like, it's like, this is just the Xerox. This is the Xerox copy of this thing. And be like, it's done with a little color, a little gray, but it's like, this was a beautiful scene. Now it's just more like, I understand they're trying to give it a point where she's in the dark, but you want to make everything gray, but it just mutes everything. It's just like, this looks terrible. But like, there's little scenes here and there with the Xerox process, which kind of makes, that looks rough in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, this was, like we said, the first film they used with the Xerox method. They did not know how this was actually going to work very well. They probably erased a lot. In some cases, they erased more than they should have. In other cases, they would not have erased far enough. What you're describing, I can see how they maybe have. I don't know if that's Xerox method or if it's just poor color choice.
Well,
because I'd have to go back and look at it.
There's some color choices that are a little bit odd. There's the Xerox process itself.
My understanding on the Xerox process is they would only have been used for the line work.
Yeah, it's all
to
done
replace the inkers.
Yeah, which again,
so it should not affect coloring.
No, it'd be like that's not where I'm going with this. The fact to be like the Xerox process in that scene makes it a little bit odd, because I can't describe it very well, but the Xerox process in itself, be like, it is a streamline, makes it cheaper, makes it easier to do this. But at the same time, you have all the little imperfections.
Yeah, there's imperfections all throughout the film.
They're all throughout it. But that's just what I wanted to point out.
Yeah.
I'm not criticizing. I'm not saying this was a terrible idea. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying because it is a new process. It's a new element they're using. You're going to have a lot of errors. And there are a lot of errors throughout this entire film that show up unintentionally throughout the film. And they can't do anything about it. Which I'm grateful with the remasters and everything. They kept it all. They might have cleaned it up a little bit.
Cinderella, when they tried to recolor her dress.
Yeah, it went from like silver to blue
and blurred it all to heck.
Yeah, that was a terrible idea. So
they didn't make. I don't think Disney made that mistake ever again with anything.
They didn't.
In fact, I think they redid the remaster to make for Cinderella to fix it. But
they did. But Yeah, because with this remaster, this 4K remaster, they went in and just tightened some things up, did some color matching, and just rebalanced color. But they didn't tamper with the lines because I think initially they were going to go in and fix the Xerox issues.
That is always going to be the temptation, and I am of the thought, keep it in there as much as you can.
Yeah, which I agree with. Be like, it makes the movie itself. Be like, it makes it stand out as a period in time in which Disney did that process. And they did that for what, 10 years?
They did it all the way up to the CAPS method. Which is when that changed over, which is 80s.
Yeah, which is like the mid 80s they did the cap method.
Well, sorry. I said that wrong. Caps was Little Mermaid was the first movie with any caps in it.
Yeah.
And the first one that was completely cap system was Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah.
So they were doing something else besides the Xerox method in the 80s, because that is not what you see in that film.
Yeah.
In those films from that era, is you don't see the rough line work.
Yeah.
That
I'll have to look into that.
That is preeminent in the 60s and 70s era Disney films.
Mm-hmm.
They may have been using a portion of the Xerox method, and maybe they just were then using more thicker lines, maybe. But yeah, the Xerox method is not my favorite method of animation that Disney ever used, because it does make it look rougher and dirtier, and the lines are so much more thinner on the character outlines. It doesn't feel like it's finished, and that's always been my issue with that style. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it does add a charm to this era that you don't want to lose. But I would say my first dislike is the fact that this is the first Xerox method film.
Okay.
It was necessary, I think, to actually do this in a way that was not just cheaper to do, but actually doable, just because of all of the spots on screen. Guys, I don't know how many of y'all who listen draw, but I want you to imagine that is, you have to think that every single one of those spots is detail work. Mm-hmm. It is extra work to make all those, especially when you've got a character like Lucky, in which the spots on his back have to form a horseshoe. Mm-hmm. And that's got to be granted, that's not always visible on screen, but when it's got to animate and look like it's still, those spots are part of the structure of his fur. One of the reasons that the comic strip Garfield changed its art style so dramatically, like in the late 80s, from the original designs of Garfield and John and all them to what we think of as Garfield nowadays, was because of the Saturday morning cartoon. Because it was all those details of Garfield's stripes, was the way it was originally done was impossible to draw at a cheap rate. And that was in the 80s when the technology was still better than it was at this point. I mean, animation-wise, it's about on par because limited animation and Saturday morning cartoons. But still, you know what I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. The only that's the entire reason the Xerox method probably even makes sense, even if they did more traditional cell animation work on this. You would not have been able to keep up with all those spots. There's a reason Chuck Jones said that only Disney could get away with it because nobody else would pay for it, because it's expensive. That kind of detail work is very expensive. So I get why they use it here, and I get why they use it later on for the next 20 or so years. But oh my, here the Xerox method is at its roughest, and there's just plenty of times where it just does look like it's it just looks very, very rough. It's fine for what it is, but there's just some points in time where it's like, that could have used a little bit more polish. Not much, just give it a once over, maybe fix a line here or there. But that I would only say that in preparation for the original release of the film.
Yeah.
Now leave it alone. Don't mess with it.
Yeah.
The fact that they actually did use rotoscoping for the vehicles, once again, I think that was more of a cost-saving measure to actually make it where it looked right. Of course, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to think if there was that many cars, modern-style cars, in other Disney films prior to this. But that's all beside the point. My first dislike for this actually is the Xerox method, because I don't care why they had to do it. It's always going to be a dislike for me, because it's just, I don't like that style.
Okay, fair enough.
That's just a me thing.
Yeah, fair enough. So I wanted to bring up a little bit of trivia with that. I looked it up. So Disney used the Xerox process for the next 30 years, from 1961 until 1989, when the release of The Little Mermaid.
Okay, so Little Mermaid was using some Xerox?
Yeah, they were using the Xerox system.
Okay.
And which was followed by...
Had to have been a lot cheaper by that point.
Oh, yeah. Followed by the Computer Animated Program System, also known as CAPS.
Which, ironically, was developed by Pixar.
Yes. Let's see. They started using... They used it as a test to produce Sleeping Beauty, and which was used fully on 100 Dalmatians up till The Little Mermaid. And after The Little Mermaid, they moved away from the Xerox process and moved into the CAP system. And they used the CAP system for many years until they went completely computer generated.
I will point out, since you do mention that a lot of those films are using Xerox.
Yes.
The Xerox method doesn't mess with me that much. And I think it's just because it's got that extra bit of polish where they cleaned out a lot of stuff. Like,
because they were able to figure out how to do it.
Jungle Book, I don't have this issue with. Little Mermaid, I definitely don't have this issue with, and I don't have this issue with Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah.
But when it's rough, when it feels like they were trying to save money on this particular one, and here I don't think they were trying to save money. I think it was just literally the first time they'd ever done it. They didn't know how to use it yet.
Yeah, it's
because it's
the first in everything.
It's the first time the company has ever used the technique. It's going to be rough.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you don't believe me, go look at Toy Story. It's a great film. Man, is it rough. But I will say, this first use of it, I was like, it's just so the Xerox on it is just so rough. That's why it's my first dislike. I appreciate what they were doing, but man, is it rough here. And I think that's where when I recognize by watching that it's Xerox method, that's when I don't like it. When I don't know that, and I'm just looking at else, later on, it's like, okay, that I don't mind. Because, Robin Hood is Xerox method. I have no trouble with it. Heck, Robin Hood steals animation frames from other movies. All the way back to Snow White. But anyway.
Yeah.
What's your second dislike?
My second dislike, you mentioned before, was talking about when the villains and the dogs are in those little small village, and it's very clearly obvious, villains get a clue, be like, how are you not noticing all these, different, all the same color dogs, which you can't keep up with it because that many dogs, be like, you think for 3 seconds, and it's like, wait, why in the world is going on? Because they are like on the hunt for these dogs, and they've gotten this small little English village, and you brought it up and made me think. It's like, come on, guys, get a clue. They're right there. Be like, just grab them.
Yeah,
but obviously you have to build suspense. You can't.
Yeah, and I get that's what that's doing.
Yeah, just be like, it's more of like, be like, how clueless are your villains? Be like, you want to make them clueless, but it's. I be like, I love a villain who's intelligent. and be like, I'm. Do not get me wrong. Cruella de Vil is an amazing villain. Her henchmen are just idiots, but it's like, get a clue. They're right in front of you. Be like, how are you not noticing a bunch of little black dogs? And be like, you're looking for dogs. Why don't you stop and look at them for 3 seconds? Now, granted, this is the whole ploy of the third act. It's like how they get away.
Right.
In this little village. And it's just like, in such a confined area. Be like, it would be like, ding, they're the dogs. But obviously, they're supposed to be the most brightest villains in the world. And they get outsmarted by, some canines. Mm-hmm. Which would be like, okay, that's funny. But I am not the biggest fan of a weak-minded or stupid villain. So, I think if I was right, what are you going to do? So, I think it's just more, guys, get a clue. You see dogs, be like, just stop. Be like, oh, I don't see them at all. All I see is black dogs. Be like, get a clue, guys. Just saying. That is my critique of a second dislike. Be like, our villains are being villains, and they're not being very intelligent villains. Mm-hmm. Be like, obviously, Cruella is noticing it, but it's not picking up. It's like, be like, why do you think the dogs are stopping in front of you? Why do you think this? Be like, are you blinders on? They have to be spotted? Like, why don't you just be like, oh, it's dogs. Why don't you stop? But obviously, it's the plot of the story, because you gotta foil the villains. But yeah, it was just like, come on, guys.
So
anyways,
I when you were talking about that, I realized something that I wanted to bring up. Now, while I have not watched a lot of old anime,
okay,
I'm aware of certain tropes that come from old anime. What if I were to tell you through a long roundabout way that Cruella de Vil, Horace, and Jasper were actually the inspiration for the trio of Team Rocket and Pokemon? Or it could be argued that in a long roundabout way they are.
Okay, you have to explain that.
I will.
Okay.
So, we have the femme fatale villain and two bumbling henchmen, right? That are brothers.
Right. But do we know they're brothers?
Everything I'm seeing is showing that they're brothers.
Okay.
So, I will admit, the movie didn't say.
No, movie doesn't say.
But I think in official Disney canon, they are. Okay. Maybe it says it in Patch's Trip in New York, whatever that straight to DVD sequel
whatever
was
sequels,
called.
reboots, movie,
Right.
live action, whatever.
In 1977,
Okay,
there was an anime that came out in Japan called Yatterman. And its villainous trio was a femme fatale woman and two bumbling sidekicks.
Okay. It's I can see that it's a kind of a common trope.
Right. But it came out, like I said, 77. This is 61. While it is a common trope, you could make a connection that
you could.
They were inspired by this, especially since these were more bumbling crooks and not evil crooks. And that particular series was very popular in Japan at the time. Okay. To the point where, believe it or not, the Nintendo characters of Wario and Waluigi, the evil Mario and evil Luigi, they're actually based on the two bumbling crooks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that is a known thing. The only reason we didn't get Waru Peachy, which would have been the evil Princess Peach, is because Shigeru Miyamoto saw what they were doing and said, "No, we're not doing that." But that is the inspiration. Those characters are the inspiration for for Jesse James and Meowth.
Oh, okay.
In terms of character, so. I don't know. It was just a thought that crossed my mind. It's like, these are three bumbling villains who will not win. We know it from the beginning. When they crash into each other, my first thought was, looks like Team Rocket's blasting off again. Bing!
Okay, I can see that connection.
I may be reaching, granted, but it's just a thought that crossed my mind. The comedic villainous trio.
Okay, that makes sense. But like when you said the two boomling guys, I was like, wait. It was like, but there's Jesse and there's Meow. Meow.
In
Meow?
this case, James and Meowth would be the bumbling people, and Jesse would technically take the femme fatale role. But you watch enough Pokemon and see this trio, you know that the bumbling group kind of rotates.
Okay, fair enough.
So, and they all are the intelligent character every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
Bear in mind, James is actually a better Pokemon. It's shown that all three members of Team Rocket are actually better Pokemon trainers than Ash.
Of course. Because how long does it take him to actually be a gym leader, actually win something?
Oh, they never. We're off topic, but we'll come back to the topic in a second.
Here. How long
First off, Team Rocket never won a gym badge.
Yeah, I'm talking about
champion.
Ash.
I know. I'm saying, but here's how I'm saying they're better Pokemon trainers than Ash was.
Right.
Ash always had to check his Pokedex to know what a Pokemon was. He never understood what any of these Pokemon actually were. The most reoccurring Pokemon characters are all Team Rockets. With the exception of course, Pikachu. About the only good thing Ash ever did for any of his Pokemon was release his Butterfree when the Butterfree wanted to go. He evolved Charizard before it was time. And it turned out just a little bit nicer than Agumon transforming into Skullgreymon.
Again, Digimon was better. Just say it, people.
That's your opinion.
Yeah, I'm sticking to it. Thank you very much.
I'm just saying the Pokemon anime has been going straight while for 25 years now, 30 years now. Nearly 30 years. I'm not sure the time. And Digimon keeps having to restart itself every 2 years.
Digimon's been going since for about 30 years.
And it's been having to restart itself every 2 years.
Not really.
They did bring back Digimon Adventure 1 and Digimon Adventure 2 with the Tri-Series. I'll give you that. But you've also got Tamers. You also got Frontier. And you've got like 4 or 5 other ones that... Either way.
Yes.
Yes, it took Ash 20 years to finally win his second trophy.
And it took the Digidestin how long in Season 1 to actually defeat their first enemy?
Ash defeated a lot of enemies. He just didn't win the final championship for a while.
Wow, he would suck in the digital world. Just saying.
Not even the... Okay, we are off topic completely. But I'm saying... Yes, the dark Digi people, whatever that term is actually for all the villains, you know better than I do.
Dark Digi Lords.
Like Devimon and Vampiremon and whatever the others are.
Vampiremon.
Puppetmon. Whatever the ones that show up in this stupid movie during the proto version of Summer Wars.
Diablomon?
Probably. What I'm getting at. A, they had to fight those guys multiple times. B, yeah, I'm sorry. None of Ash's things were the end of the world. I give you that. That's like saying, Sonic the Hedgehog is not as good as... Well, no, that doesn't work because they all are both facing end of the world stuff. I'm trying to think of a better comparison to what you're describing.
All I can say be like we have all watched Death Battle, which they've come back and doing their own thing now. All I can say is like when they do their Pokemon versus Digimon, I think they're right.
I am not going to fight you on any of this because I recognize, as we were talking about the other night, there's a lot of preference going on in this.
There is. I agree completely. But yeah.
Keep talking. Yes. I'm trying to kill bots.
We kill a bot. But yeah, I do agree. There's a lot of built-in bias or a lot of built-in preference to things. Be like, if you are a Digimon fan, be like, you're Team Digimon. Okay, great. Go there. Be like, if you're Team Pokemon.
How did we get off on this topic?
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, Team Rocket's blasting off again.
Yeah, exactly. So
Oh yeah, and he never evolved as Pikachu into Raichu, which is legitimately a better Pokemon.
Right. Because he didn't want to.
All I'm saying is they were better Pokemon trainers than Ash because they actually cared about their Pokemon.
That's hold on. I'm
not saying Ash didn't care about his Pokemon, but Ash replaced his team over and over and over again. The only one he kept on his team most of the time was Pikachu.
Yeah, because he had to go through like the new Pokemon for the new seasons.
Right, for advertising's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesse and James ran around with Wobbuffet and all their other ones multiple times through multiple seasons.
Of course.
Never an issue. You need to see the scene where Jesse repairs Mimikyu's Pikachu costume.
Okay.
Because it is actually sweet. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Team Rocket's better Pokemon trainers than Ash. We were talking 101 Dalmatians!
We got on this death battle of like who's better, but...
I think we were on second dislikes.
We were on
I
second
think
dislikes.
it was yours, and I hadn't done mine yet. I think that's where we were.
I think so. Hold on. Give me a second. Yes. Yes, I'd be like, my second light was like the villains get a clue. Be like your target's right in front of you. You're in a small village. It's so many dogs. How are you going to hide these many dogs? And they just be like, it's like, oh, I don't know. Be like, you see these dogs walk by, be like, stop and think for 3 seconds. But again, it's understanding you want to wrap up the plot. You want to make the villains look like fools. You want to embarrassing them beyond belief. And, they get outsmarted by a bunch of canines and a cat. But that was my second dislike before we got into this enormous tangent.
Yes.
So what is your second dislike?
My second dislike is... What was my second dislike?
I threw him for such a big loop.
So my first dislike was the Xerox method. My second dislike, and granted, I know why this is, but there comes a certain point in this film where it goes from being fairly colorful to being almost monochrome.
Agreed.
It doesn't go ever completely monochrome because technically none of the Dalmatians are white. They are off-white in terms of their fur. The snow, I think is whiter than them, but not by much.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know. Maybe it's just because a lot of it is the snow. And I get they're outside. It's going to do that. This is a very black and white film, even metaphorically. But so much of this film for such a very long time is gray, for lack of a better term. In terms of it is almost grayscale. Yes, you have the multicolored collars on the puppies. There is more color out there than I'm giving it credit for, but I think the second half of this, the way, because the color goes to black and white, I feel is a bit of a detriment to it. Granted, I don't know what else I'm asking you to do. Because you got Dalmatians in the snow at wintertime. It's gray, it's cold. You got to show snow. You can't exactly make the Dalmatians blue and pink polka dot. What am I asking you to do?
Right.
I don't even know if there is an answer to what I'm suggesting.
Yes.
It's just I think just one of the things that kind of bugs me as this goes, just grayscale after a certain point until we get to the end. Now, granted, it works for the film in terms of because at that point, I mean, yeah, it's a very black and white thing. It's like, we got to get home. Cruella's evil. We hate her. We got to do this. And so, yeah, it is very black and white, even there metaphorically, and it kind of fits. If it's cinematographically, that's not a word. But at the same time, it's like, oh, I wish there was more color in this scene, in some of these scenes. Okay. I don't know how I expect you to do it. Don't get me wrong. It's just it feels like they lost their color budget halfway through the film.
Okay, so what I'm getting from what you're saying is we're talking primarily like the third, like the back end of the second act, third act,
basically
where it's
from
like everything's kind of muted
from the time they leave Hell Hall until they actually get back to London.
Yes,
there is a grayness to the film at that point. It works. Do not get me wrong.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm still sitting there going, this is so gray. And I think it's a nitpick. Like I said, I have no idea what to tell you to make it better. Because, I mean, even when they're in, like, the barn with the cows, you do have some color come back there.
a little bit.
You have some color come back when they first get to that town where they do get in the back of the truck. And you do have the color come back a lot during the chase scene with Cruella. It's just, there's so much of it. It's like, oh, this is just so, it's kind of gray and depressing. Granted, it's kind of supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like I said, I have no idea. I don't like it, but I can't tell you what to do to change that.
Yeah.
So, it's a nitpick. I ain't going to fight anybody over it. Yeah. Yeah, it's just great. And I think I just don't prefer it when it goes gray.
Okay, fair enough.
Lack of a best way I know how to go about it. If it weren't Dalmatians, like if they were a different breed of pet, granted, it wouldn't be as emblematic.
Yeah, sure.
It wouldn't be as iconic. But I think it would probably fix my color issue. But then, like, they're Dalmatians. That's what they have to be. So, yeah.
Sure.
Puppies. Save the puppies.
Yes. Be like, I agree with you to an extent. There's the use of the grayscale to kind of, like you emphasized, it was more
it does
the
set
dread,
the mood.
the seriousness, the mood of the scene, the mood of the third act. You know, where the danger the dogs are in. They have to traverse all this way back home. The use of grayscale is a very useful,
and I get that they're in hiding. It's just a part where it's like, can we have one blue sky for 5 seconds and then go back to the gloom?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't want anything changed, but at the same time, it's like, oh, I wish there was more color here. I don't know a better way to put it than that, and I know it doesn't make any sense. So leave that where it is. What's your third dislike?
I don't have one.
I don't either. So let's go ahead and rate this film. How many spots are you giving this?
Oh gosh, spots. If I was going spots
out of 10,
like 10 out of 10 spots, that's kind of short. Counting it short when you have over 5 million spots.
We're only looking at lucky spots.
Okay, so lucky spots.
Of course, he had 13. I think.
Yeah, he had 13 spots. So
either way,
yeah, I get where you're going. We're gonna tumble down into another rabbit hole here. Let's keep it on. You stay on target. Stay on target. You're too loose.
Now we're getting into Star Wars. How many? What are you rating this film?
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna give. It's a 9 for me. It's got to be a 9. Be like, this is a good, solid film. Be like, yeah, the Xerox probably kind of gives me issues here. Villains, give me get a clue. Be like, what's going on? But obviously, that's the purpose of the movie. It's the purpose of the third act, because you want these dogs to be triumphant over the villains, and they're four-legged canines.
Yeah.
Be like, when you get outsmarted by a bunch of dogs, be like, how smart are you? Just really.
Well,
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, but be like, I thoroughly enjoy the mess out of this movie. Be like, Drew mentioned the gray tone when they get into the third act, all this dread and gloom, but you don't know what's going to happen. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Oh my gosh.
I'm not saying I didn't. It's just like, I just wanted a little more color.
Fair. But overall, I enjoy the mess out of this movie. So this is going to get a solid 9 or 9 spots. What is yours?
I'm going to give this one 8.5 spots. It's a good film, don't get me wrong. I think it doesn't resonate with me like it does with a lot of other people, but I still enjoyed the film. It's still a great film. It's got a great villain for evil's sake villain. I don't know. I think maybe my viewing was not. Granted, it's also been a week since I watched the film, so I may have come back down off of the watch high. But yeah, it's a good film. I enjoyed it. It's like I said, it's a little more subdued than I think is my preference in terms of story, and maybe it's just because I just didn't get as invested. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, 8.5. It's good. It's a good movie. Definitely suggest people watch it.
Okay.
There's a good reason it inspired two different live action series.
Yes.
Movie series off of it. So
yeah, this had a TV series as well.
yeah, it had one or two cartoon series.
Yeah, several. Like
Yeah.
even into modern age, has had one.
So in on the other side of the bumpers, next week I should say.
What are we watching next?
Next week we are doing a Cellcast Plus episode, and we are going to have a guest on. That would be Charlie from Book of Gaming. He's going to join us for that. We gave him the choice, and he chose the modern remake of Get Smart. I say the modern one. Get Smart was a TV show. This was a modern movie based on it, starring Steve Carell. So we'll be reviewing that next week with him, or this Friday, I should say. So join us for that. In the meantime, we are going to hit some bumpers and get into some Batman.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out The Rushmore Show. The Rushmore Show is the place for ranking the ultimate top 4 in sports, video games, nostalgia, movies, and so much more. Each week, Andy and Kirk spark engaging discussions and friendly debates, making The Rushmore Show your compass in the realm of pop culture rankings. You can find more at their YouTube channel, The Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more. The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, or the Ruiz family, I think is how that's worded now. Hi, Roy. PaulJPowers.com and the Monster Island Film Vault. If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, some special art from Jacob, uncut episodes, or for an additional $5 on top of that, the ability to force us to review a movie within reason that you can then guest star on if you so desire, you can donate to us on Patreon for that. Cellcast, we also would like for you to go out and look at our merch store where you can get t-shirts, stickers, different pieces of artwork, in many different forms. Go check that out. We may have something connected to this review coming out on that, but yeah, please go do that. I get the feeling I forgot something.
Let's see. You talked about.
I did Culture Box.
Culture Box.
I did patron shout out.
Plug that. You plug the show. You plug the
merch store.
The merch store. What else are you missing?
I think that's it. It's just in my mind. I feel like I forgot something. It's been a week and a half. That's why I think this.
Yes, agreed.
Let's just go ahead and get into Batman.
Yeah.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. 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 There is a song the good folks sing.
Song the good folks sing.
In the great hall of the Justice League.
I realized what I forgot.
What did you forget?
We're past your curfew.
Oh. Womp womp.
Anyway.
Anyways.
Mad as a Hatter. Production episode number 27. Broadcast episode number 24. Directed by Frank Parr and written by Paul Dini. In this episode, Jervis Tetch develops a form of mind control which he implants by placing devices in people's hats. He uses this to impress Alice, a woman he's attracted to, turning all of Gotham City into a wonderland to please her at every whim. When he learns she's in love with another, the jealous Tetch decides to use his mind control powers to do away with her, emulating a figure he idolizes, the Mad Hatter. In this episode, we got Steve Boulin playing a police dispatcher, David Haskell playing Billy, Roddy McDowall playing Jervis Tetch and the Mad and of course the Mad Hatter, Kimmy Robertson as Alice, and Loretta Swit as Marcia Cates. Getting into the trivia, this is the second Batman 66 alumni to appear in Batman the Animated Series.
Really?
With Roddy McDowall. Here, of course, like I said, he portrays the Mad Hatter. McDowall previously played the special guest villain, the Bookworm, on the 2-part season 1 episode of Batman 66 called "The Bookworm Turns While Gotham City Burns." The Mad Hatter was actually in that show too, but it was played obviously by a different actor. Jervis Tetch, the Mad Hatter, refers to Alice once in the episode by saying, "Good evening, Miss Plaisance." This is a reference to Alice Plaisance Liddell, a likely inspiration for the character of Alice in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Also, this episode uses a lot of artwork reminiscent of the actual illustrations in the book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. The actual, a lot of stuff that looks like the etchings. The Mad Hatter at the end of the episode gets pinned under a model of the Jabberwocky at the end. And that's what I've got for trivia. I will say that when we decided to do Batman the Animated Series, this was one of the episodes that was in my mind as episodes I remembered. At the same time, I did not enjoy this episode as much as I'd hoped. I don't know why I didn't. I think it may just have something to do with the fact that as I've gotten older, I don't like Alice in Wonderland that much.
Got it.
But and this is going very heavy into the Alice in Wonderland stuff, even quoting the book in places. But this I will say, mostly I'm saying that while this is a good episode, it's a disappointing episode for me because I was expecting more of it. But what are your thoughts on it?
Okay. I remember enjoying this episode when I was a kid. I was like, okay, this is funky. As an adult, you see more of the manipulation, the fact that he abuses the tech he creates.
Yeah.
And I'm very shocked that it took Bruce Wayne Batman this long to figure out who this guy is, what's happening, because he knows Hatch has been he's an expert in this technology.
Yeah.
And the fact that he creates the persona of the Mad Hatter because he's obsessed with this woman, and obviously the feelings are not mutual, they're not receptive.
Yeah.
And he takes rejection poorly, and he takes the fact to be like he has one good night. He has one good night with Alice. Because she takes it as, oh, he's a sweet old man. He's a very sweet man.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I don't know how old Hatch is.
I don't know. Is he
Tetch? Tetch. Sorry. Tetch.
I'm guessing Tetch is probably in his late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, he's probably
It's my guess.
He's my age.
Yeah,
he's probably around my age.
Whereas Alice is early to mid 20s.
Yeah, probably
I think
she may be ever since she's a secretary, she could be 18 years old. She could be 20 years old. Because
and I think that may be part of the reason I was disappointed in this episode, because I think looking at it as a nearly 40-year-old, Tetch just came off as creepy.
Oh yeah, he is
As a creeper, as like, oh no. You don't need to be hanging out with this girl who's very obviously just barely outside of being, legal for you to even be around.
Right.
You don't need that. You need to be dating somebody closer to your own age, dude.
Right.
I know how hard that is as someone reaching the age of 40, and you know how that is. Because you got very lucky.
Yeah.
Or very blessed, I should say.
Agreed.
But this I think that's what it came across. It's like, A, I'm not a big fan of Alice in Wonderland. B, this guy went from being, I think as a kid I didn't make that connection. I just saw, these are older people and they're in love with each other. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, no.
Now I look and go, or he's in love with her and she doesn't reciprocate. Yeah, that's a bad story. But
I wouldn't even go as far to say be like Tetch is in love with her, be like he's obsessed with her.
It's an obsession, yeah. It's probably because her name is Alice. If
her
we're
name
being
is
honest.
Alice, and be like one of his obsession is Alice in Wonderland. Be like, and just the fact to be like she's his secretary or something around there because he works with her.
Yeah,
and you grow fond of your coworkers or something like that, and you have those that just go nuts. And the fact to be like he's rejected, and so he uses his own technology that he's been trying to that he's been working on for Wayne Tech, to get his way, to manipulate things, to control people for his own selfish gain. And it's just like, it's so revolting. It's like, dude, really? It's like, dude, to be like, it's not the end of the world. A girl rejected you. Be like, there's other girls out there. There's girls your own age.
Yeah.
Be like, don't do the parallels with the original Alice in Wonderland. That is, oh gosh.
Let's not go down that road.
That rabbit hole. No. Oh my gosh. But be like watching this episode, I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, that's creepy. But this be like, it's a good episode. It's not as good as the next episode. But be like, it's a good episode, more of a what obsession can really be and what it can drive you to, because like,
it's a very well written episode. I will say,
I agree.
And I think it's executed very well. It's just, it's not hitting like. A lot of Paul Dini's other stuff is just spectacular. I think whatever buttons that hits, this episode just didn't hit. And it could just come right down to the fact that I'm not a big fan of Alice in Wonderland.
Fair.
So
that's gonna make it. That's good. I'm just gonna say this here. This is like whenever we get to the point where we review Alice in Wonderland, Disney's Alice in Wonderland. That's gonna be interesting to me when the point we get to.
Well, I just got done reviewing the Alice in Wonderland level of Kingdom Hearts on Untangling Kingdom Hearts, and I think I was a little bit nicer than I was here, but that's because I understand what in that. I think that version of Alice in Wonderland, I'm a little more nicer on.
Okay.
And I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've never actually read Alice in Wonderland. It just seems like that's the creepiest of the Disney properties, and at least the Disney the animated movie, I at least understand better. But you get to some of this other stuff, and I go, oh yeah, this Alice in Wonderland is just a freaky story, and this goes so much into it. I mean, there's a part here where when they're out at the park there before he returns her home for Billy to change his mind, and he said, do you remember so-and-so's song, will you, won't you, going, no, I don't, because I don't know this story. What makes you think she knows this story? For all you know, Tetch, she may not have ever read Alice in Wonderland. For all you know. Now, I will say, things I did like about this, I love how his boss, he turned her into the Queen of Hearts, and she does say if he messes up before that, it's going to be off with his head. And so the rest, when she's the Queen of Hearts, she's going off with his head. It just comes like, okay, that was clever. And some of the other stuff, I just remember liking this episode a lot more when I was a kid, when it was just goofy. I mean, to me, this episode was just goofy fun, and now I'm looking at this episode going, stranger danger.
Yeah, just a little bit.
That's what I'm getting off of this is like, oh, stranger danger. You need to call somebody to get this creeper off of your elbow there, Alice.
Okay.
I think that's what I guess it was like.
Alice is very naive. She's a very naive young woman.
If he had put the mind control thing on her early on, while it would still be creepy, I think I would accept it more. But the fact that she just hangs out with this guy who's already dressing up like a character from a book.
Yeah.
And even if she doesn't know who that character is, it's still kind of a goofy way to dress up. I mean, you live in a city that regularly has icemen, people in clown masks, and a socialite who is misshapen and calls himself the Penguin as people who show up and do stuff villainously. And you're not thinking, oh, maybe this guy who's now dressing up like a character on a poster on his wall, maybe that's bad news. I get that she's broken up and brokenhearted about the fact that she thought Billy broke up with her.
Right.
Which it wasn't Billy. It was Tetch trying to manipulate her, but still.
Yeah, I agree. Be like, I think for Alice as a character, be like she's a very innocent character.
Yeah,
she's a very naive
very
character.
naive.
And so she sees what Tetch is doing is just being very sweet. You know, what his desires are. And so when you see that, you're like, oh, Alice gets back with her boyfriend. Oh, they get engaged because you have Tetch comes to the office. He's like all like, they're like, oh, I'm in love. And you get that scene where she reveals, be like, oh, he proposed and I said yes. And then like even before that, be like, he's been questioning, should I use this to gain an advantage or to take control of her to be mine? But she'd be like, he's always resisting. No, I can't do this. I can't do this. And by the time he finally feels that he's been rejected, it's like, okay, I'm going to use this because I want her.
Right. As watching somebody slowly, if you'll pardon the pun, fall down the rabbit hole into madness, I appreciate it.
Yes.
But as a personal enjoyment for this episode, because we stick so much with this guy, and I'm just sitting here going, girl, get away from him. He is not for you. I don't know. Like I said, he just creeps me out in this episode in a way that I just don't appreciate.
There.
But so yeah, you got anything else on this episode before we move on?
No.
To the one I'm actually looking forward to talking about tonight.
Yeah, let's talk about that one.
Okay, Dreams in Darkness, which was episode 28 production wise, episode 31 broadcast. It was directed by Dick Sabast and written by Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. In this episode, a run-in with fear gas courtesy of the Scarecrow lands Batman in a padded cell in Arkham Asylum. Struggling to convince Dr. Bartholomew that the city's water supply is in danger of being spiked with Scarecrow's hallucinatory toxin, to make things worse, Batman has to overcome his own demons, and he is plagued by disturbing visions of his enemies and also his loved ones. In this episode, we got Richard Dysart playing Dr. Bartholomew, Takeo Fisher as Dr. Wu, and Ron Taylor playing an orderly. Everybody else had appeared in previous episodes. Trivia for this one, out of all the Batman the Animated Series episodes, this is the only one ever to mention the Joker's assumed real name.
Yes, I enjoy that part.
Jack Napier, which, to my knowledge, was created for Batman 89. And this is technically a sequel series or in that universe. So it makes sense they would still go with Jack Napier for that, even though in the comics they've played more with his identity since then. While hallucinating, Batman makes a passing reference to Jason Todd.
Really?
This who was the second Robin. Batman raves, "Robin, look out! Joker's got a bomb," which in the comics is how Jason died.
Yeah, mine is kind of grateful he didn't say, be like, "Oh, he's got a crowbar." That would have been, oh, jeez.
Or, "Look out! The audience is dialing the number that kills you." I'm sorry. I will still say
That was genius.
the Joker did not kill Jason Todd.
No.
The audience
The
killed
readers
Jason Todd. Because it came to a vote.
I would say, be like, from a creative standpoint,
It's a great idea.
to put the fate of a character in your reader's hands. Be like, oh, we really don't like Jason, kill him off.
But still, it's very much like, we don't know whether to leave him alive or kill him. We'll let you, the reader, decide. We'll bring him back later because that's how comic books work. Because his name is not Uncle Ben or Gwen Stacy.
That is true.
And yet they've come back too.
Yes, apparently.
Batman allows a doctor to take a blood sample without retrieving it after she studies it. This means that she technically has his DNA and thus could discover his true identity. Whilst the Joker's first laugh in this episode does sound like Mark Hamill's portrayal, the second and third sound are far too high-pitched. That is because they're actually Lauren Lester, Robin's voice actor. He stepped in to fill the role for this episode.
Really?
Dr. Bartholomew's name is a modification of Dr. Bartholomew Wolper, a character from Frank Miller's Batman: The Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, okay.
Arkham Security uses tranquilizer darts to try and capture Batman. Though they are sometimes used on animals, in reality they can't be used on humans due to the time it takes for them to take effect and the difficulty in getting the dosage right, as humans vary too much in size and weight. This is why surgeries require anesthesiologists to administer anesthesia and monitor the patient throughout the procedure. So yeah, that's a thing. The Scarecrow's plan to poison Gotham's water supply mirrors his and Ra's al Ghul's plan in the film Batman Begins, including poisoning the water from below Arkham Asylum.
Very true.
And let me just say, I find it poetic that the reason that the possible reason that there are so many mad criminals in Gotham City is that there literally is something in the water probably leaking out of Arkham Asylum.
That is true.
Because
it's very
like,
poignant.
maybe that's not the best place to put your water reservoir. Maybe.
And the fact that Crane was very easily to just like
escape and get there
from being like, oh yeah, he's there the entire time. Be like, are you sure this is Crane we're talking about?
So one of the things I find interesting about Grant, I think this is probably the first episode we've had so far that really gets down and dirty with Batman's origins.
Oh, yeah.
Because unlike Superman and many other superheroes, Batman's origin story is not exactly one I think is easy. You can get past the censors very easily.
Definitely back then. No,
you've got to play with it a little bit better for a kid's show.
Yeah.
And I think here they did a beautiful job of him being under the effects of the fear toxin, and he sees his parents walk into a tunnel, and then the tunnel morphs into the barrel of a giant six-shooter pistol. And then goes off.
Yes.
And it's like, well, that doesn't leave much to the imagination. You just barely got this past censors, didn't you? Because there's no way they didn't catch that.
So I wanted to point out, because like during that illusion, during that nightmare, like the fact to be like, you have the Waynes walk in and Bruce can't get to them. And so it rises up into a barrel, and what's coming out of the barrel? It's pouring red.
Yes, it's pouring red, and a lot of red.
A lot of red.
How, Fox? Were you paying attention?
Oh, they were paying attention. They knew what they were doing.
Right. Don't get me wrong. The animators knew what they were doing. I'm sitting here going, hey, Fox censors.
Yeah, they got away with so much crap.
Not paying attention. This is why Animaniacs got away with so much.
Oh, yeah. Because
that went right over my head.
Yeah.
But good night. It's like I'm watching this going,
so good. Oh my gosh. This
is 1 year before Power Rangers. And you couldn't kill anybody in Power Rangers. They all had to be destroyed.
Right.
By the same censor board.
But also, I think with Batman, because they got away with so much.
Oh, yeah.
We reviewed episodes where we're like, oh my gosh, how did they get away with that?
How did they get away with it? And it's so... That scene just made me go, oh, wow. You just did that so well without it being in your face. I mean, it was in your face. It was not subtle at all.
No, because...
But at the same time, it was done in a way that was like, that is both horrific and beautiful at the same time. To handle this backstory of the character without actually telling kids Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered.
Yeah.
And you combine that with the other Scarecrow episode from the beginning of the season, plus Appointment in Crime Alley. You combine all three of those, and within that you get Batman's whole origin story. And plus, I will let you talk here in just a minute. I know I'm kind of going off. I love the fact that it was the Bat that saved him. The Bat was his guardian angel, and it's what got him out of that last hallucination of save it. And when he's in the Batcave after they finally administered the serum, and you see that Bat hanging from the ceiling like a guardian angel protecting him, it's like, wow, this is... I never caught this as a kid. This is the kind of stuff but it's done so well. It tells you this is just how this is how it is. This is Batman, and it's like so good, so good.
I think you took like you.
I know I probably hit everything.
No, you hit everything so perfectly. With like this episode is done so well. The fact that like Batman, who is this rock of a character, nothing can move him. Be like except a few things here and there. But like you have this point where he is vulnerable. The fact to be like the fear toxin does get to him, and he is worried how long it's going to take. Yeah, he starts hallucinating. He sees Robin. He gets thrown into Arkham, and be like it's so beautiful. That scene, like you described that scene so well. That of the Waynes is just so illustratively beautifully executed, where they don't go into but like obviously through symbolism and all that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff when they use that kind of stuff when they're trying to get to a touchy hard subject, be like murder of a parents or a guardian or whatever, and they use that kind of allegory and analogy and illustration
because they can't say it outright
They can write it out, but they can't say it.
They can show you everything. They can go so far as to have blood falling out of a gun, but no, that's not blood. That's red liquid.
Yeah,
but it's like I'm looking at that's blood. And I was like, if you know anything about Batman's backstory, that thing is that whole scene is spot on. You know what it's showing you.
Yeah, and also the fact as our generation growing up watching Batman the animated series, that was, and like many other people have said this, the fact that like Batman with the animated series was like one of the first catapults into the comic world.
Yeah,
but like with Spider-Man, with X-Men, with all these other cartoons.
The Saturday morning cartoons was my only outlet to this stuff for a long time.
Mine too, and so be like when you get as a kid, I never got that as a kid, but as an adult, oh my gosh, just like I said in the review, my jaw drops. It's like, oh my gosh, they did that. How did they do that? Because they couldn't do that today.
No.
Be like, you could do it on like Max or something like that. Be like, they do it all the time in the live action films. But here they do it masterfully. They give you all the they give you everything you need, but they don't tell you. They just show you. And like even from a child, it's like, oh my gosh. Be like, did they die? I didn't know that. And it's beautifully, masterfully done. This is an excellent episode. And the fact to be like, of course, the Scarecrow gets his upcomings, and be like, he gets doused with his own dose, his own venom. And it's a great episode. I love this episode. So yeah, this is a
great episode.
Yeah.
It's stuff like this
and
that is...
and your your point to, sorry if I interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Your point to where the Bat, who is kind of this guardian angel over Bruce, Batman, the entire time he's under this, because you always see a bat somewhere.
Yeah.
Be like, it's like watching over him. Mm-hmm. Because be like, even though you can boil it down to more like the psychology of, Bruce is the scared little kid. Be like,
in many ways he still is.
He still is a scared little kid. Be like, he lost his parents, but he has this little guardian angel, a bat, that's being his protector. The Batman, his other persona, is protecting Bruce.
Well, that last shot where Batman is covered by the shadow of the bat as the light's shining down on it, is just like,
it's so allegorical.
It's so allegorical. It's like, yeah, he's Bruce Wayne in this shot, but he's covered by the bat, and it's the bat that saved him. Yeah.
In a way, it was what, in the course of Bruce Wayne's history, when his parents are murdered in Crime Alley, the fact to be like, what drove him to become the Batman is what saved him.
Yeah.
Be like, whatever iteration of Batman, it's always when he becomes the Batman. Be like, I think in other iterations or within the DCAU, it's more, I think it's in Batman Begins where Terry's asking, be like, it's like, so how did you know it wasn't voiced in your head? And it's like, he goes on and on, be like, it's like, okay, be like, who?
Yeah,
like,
you're thinking of Return of the Joker.
No,
like,
I'm not actually. This is another episode. This is another episode where be like, he's asking me like, so be like, how did you know the voices in your head weren't real? Because one, I don't call myself Bruce. Be like, okay, who do you call yourself? Be like,
he just looks at him.
He looks at him.
Yeah.
Be like, I call myself the Batman.
It's like, oh yeah, you would. But that's me now.
Yeah, that's me now. That's what he says.
Yeah.
But it's more like, that's Bruce. Be like his entire, like, that is his, in a way, kind of his blanket. Be like, Batman is what has kind of sheltered him.
It's his persona.
It's his persona. It's who
that
he is now.
protects him from the world.
Yeah, exactly. Because that is like, ooh, yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, I love this episode.
This is such a good episode, and this is not one that I knew about.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just missed it in its original run, or if as a kid it just did not make the impact it makes on me now. But it's stuff like this episode that really makes me think this is DC and filmography at its finest.
Yeah.
I know there are people who love the Zack Snyder films. I'm sorry. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The animated universe puts it to shame because it can do serious stuff like this and Heart of Ice and
oh my gosh,
the Fear of Victory episode and Appointment in Crime Alley, and also do I've Got Batman in My Basement or a couple other ones or a Joker's Favor that are just fun episodes. They're fun little stories. They're not, dark and disturbing. They're kind of fun. It can do both of those, and they both fit. And I don't think you would ever have been able to do that in the in the Zack Snyder films. They tried with the extended universe when you had the more quote unquote fun films with like The Flash and the Suicide Squad. I think worked for the most part, but it was still that was because it was James Gunn, and James Gunn knows how to write that sort of stuff. But you look at the other DC films from that time and that are trying to be more fun and goofy, and you're looking at it and going, this does not work at all. But it works with Batman. It works in this DC animated universe,
right?
Because I'm still sitting here going, okay, after Batman, we're gonna get Superman, which is more lighthearted. We're gonna eventually get Justice League, which has Barry freaking Allen in it, the goofball of all goofballs in this universe, and it works. It works so well. Anyway, sorry, I'm kind of geeking out on this stuff.
You're good.
Let's go ahead and finish up for the evening. Next week, we are going to be looking at the episodes. I don't have it up. Hang on. We're going to be looking at the episodes Eternal Youth and Perchance to Dream. I do remember the episode Eternal Youth because I think that's the first time I ever met Poison Ivy. So, because I think I missed most of this first season in its original. I say first season. This is where Amazon calls the end of season 1.
Oh, okay.
So I think I came in at this part.
Yeah,
is where I came in, and much of the episodes from before this that I caught either aired after this or originally, or it came up in reruns. But I'm looking forward to a couple of these episodes coming up, and we'll be doing that, of course, with the newer Get Smart film, and join us for all that next week. You got anything to add before we jump out of here?
Not that I know of, but yeah, this was a great episode, and can't wait for next week.
Right. Or this Friday, technically.
Yes, it's Friday.
But in the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
To follow Jacob and Drew's individual internet exploits, check out the Linktree links in the show notes. You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter or X at @cast_cell. Follow our Facebook page, The Cellcast Podcast, and join our Facebook group, The Cell Nation, our YouTube channel, Cellcast, and our Rumble channel, The Cellcast Gaming. You can join us every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central for our live recordings of our episodes on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. You can also join Drew on those same streaming channels on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central for gaming streams. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts can be downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. Our bad movie theme is It's Party Time by Gregory Snegoff, with additional audio from the film Titanic: The Legend Goes On, and remember, that's Cell with a single L.
Meow, 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 meow.
Woof.